Hi everyone. Remember your speaking test is tomorrow. I hope you're all at home studying right now. Remember that this is going to be like a conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and read all of the questions for you just so that you can get a feel for how they'll sound tomorrow. I'm going to begin by asking where you wish to go on vacation. You should respond to me. You should respond to that question by saying where you want to go. And then you're going to be required to ask me a question. Now, remember, your questions are the questions that are on the bottom half of your study guide under questions a person might ask their travel agent. Once you ask me a question, I will respond to that question and then ask you another question from this top section. Questions a travel agent could ask you about the vacation you want to take. Remember, this is a two-way conversation, so you need to make sure that you are contributing to the conversation and that your responses and follow-up questions are logical and fit with what we are discussing. So again, the purpose of this video is so that you can hear me pronounce these questions and you can practice responding on your own. The first question is, ¿Cómo prefieres viajar? An appropriate response might be, prefiero viajar en coche, o prefiero viajar en avión, o prefiero viajar en tren. Any of those are logical and appropriate responses. Número 2. ¿Cuántos boletos quieres? A logical and appropriate response would be, quiero 4 boletos, o quiero 2 boletos. Número 3. ¿Quieres el boleto de ida y vuelta? Your response can be, no quiero un boleto de ida y vuelta. Quiero un boleto de ida, which just means a one-way trip ticket. Or you could say, sí, quiero boletos de ida y vuelta. 4. ¿Tienes tu pasaporte? ¿O tienes tu identificación? ¿O tienes el traje de baño? Again, those are 3 different questions. So I might ask if you have your passport, if you have your ID, or if you have your swimsuit. An appropriate response would just be sí o no, tengo mi pasaporte, or mi identificación, o mi traje de baño. 5. ¿Quién hace tu maleta? Again, who packs your suitcase? An appropriate response would be yo hago mi maleta. O posiblemente mi mamá hace mi maleta. 6. ¿Viajas mucho? An appropriate response would be sí, viajo mucho, or no viajo mucho. 7. ¿Quién confirma el vuelo? O ¿quién va a confirmar el vuelo? The difference between those two questions is who confirms the flight versus who is going to confirm the flight. They're the same question, just worded a little bit differently. An appropriate response would be, yo voy a confirmar el vuelo, or yo confirma el vuelo, or you can have any other subject, but just make sure that if you change the subject, you also change your verb. 8. ¿Con quién haces el viaje? With whom are you going to take the trip? Yo hago el viaje con mi familia, or you could say something like hago el viaje con mis amigos, or you could reword it and say mis amigos y yo, or mi familia y yo hacemos el viaje. Número 9. ¿Cuándo buscas el itinerario? Or cuando buscas los boletos is asking when you plan to start looking for your tickets or your itinerary. An appropriate response would be, busco los boletos en enero, or busco los boletos mañana. 10. ¿Quién busca el itinerario o quién busca los boletos? Is asking who is going to look for those things. You might say, mis padres buscan los boletos, or yo busco los boletos. So that is pretty much all of the questions that I might ask you tomorrow. And again, the questions that I ask are going to depend on what you ask me or your responses to my questions. So some things that you might ask me or your travel agent would be, do you have my itinerary, or do you have my tickets or my boarding pass? Or you might ask if I've ever traveled to a certain place. If you're talking directly to me, remember I am playing the travel agent, and you would speak to a travel agent in the usted form. So a couple of appropriate questions you might ask me are, ¿Tiene usted mi itinerario? Or ¿Tiene usted mi boleto? Or ¿Tiene usted mi tarjeta de embarque? Okay, and I might respond to that with, sí, tengo tu boleto. Número dos, viaja usted a. So if you're saying that you would like to go to Puerto Rico, you might ask me if I've ever been there. Viaja usted a Puerto Rico? And I will respond appropriately. Some other questions you might ask. ¿Cuándo sale el avión? ¿Cuánto cuesta el viaje? ¿Cuándo llega el avión? ¿Hay una playa? Now with this one, remember that I is a verb. So if I is in your question, you need to also use it in your response. So ¿hay una playa? I would probably also say sí, hay una playa. 7. ¿Dónde está mi tarjeta de embarque? And then a couple of questions you might ask about things that you need. ¿Dónde facturo el equipaje? Where can I check my luggage? ¿Necesito un pasaporte? Do I need a passport? ¿Qué necesito para viajar a? So you might want to know what you need to travel to a tropical location. Maybe you've never been to a place with an ocean or a beach before. ¿Cuándo abordo el avión? When do I board the flight? And finally, paso por seguridad. Do I have to go through security? Now again, what I would do to study for this test is go through and make a couple of logical conversations up in your head. So I would decide tonight which place you plan on traveling, and then think of some questions I might ask you about that place. I hope this is helpful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions. You may contact me via email or through Schoology. Have a great night.